If someone had told me 2 years ago that my marriage would unravel in the fluorescent glow of a grocery store, I would have laughed in their face. But life, as I've learned, has a cruel sense of irony. My name is Evan. I'm 37, married to Claire for the past 9 years. We met at a friend's birthday party. She was vivacious, warm, the kind of woman who seemed to brighten the room just by walking in. I was drawn to her instantly. Our first few years were a whirlwind of travel, late-night talks, and a closeness that felt unbreakable. We both worked demanding jobs, I in IT consulting, Claire as a freelance graphic designer. The freedom of her schedule was a blessing early on, but as time passed, it became one of many wedges that began to form between us. When the pandemic hit, our dynamic shifted. I was working from home full-time, stressed and often buried in deadlines. Claire's work dried up. She began spending more time outside, volunteering, taking classes, anything to escape the four walls of our increasingly tense apartment. I tried not to take it personally. I convinced myself it was healthy for her to stay busy. But there was a distance growing, subtle at first, until it became a chasm neither of us seemed able to cross. It was around this time that Claire took on a part-time job at the local Green Market supermarket. She said it was just to keep busy, something light and social to pass the time. I didn't think much of it, at least she was getting out, staying engaged. Then things started changing. Claire began dressing up more for her shifts. Not just a simple sweater and jeans, she'd wear fitted blouses, a bit more makeup, spritz on perfume I hadn't smelled in months. She brushed it off when I teased her, "It's just nice to feel good about myself." I didn't push. But the distance between us grew wider. Our conversations became transactional: groceries, bills, schedules. The intimacy that had once defined us vanished. I assumed it was just a rough patch. We'd been through them before. Until one night, everything changed. It was a Tuesday, a nothing special kind of day. I was working late, buried in an endless stream of client emails, when I heard my phone buzz. A text from my sister, Jenna. "Hey. I saw Claire at Green Market earlier. Thought you said she was working mornings?" I frowned. Claire had told me she was covering early shifts this week so we could have evenings together. Tonight, though, she hadn't been home since noon, claiming she was at a design workshop. Curious but not suspicious, I texted her. No response. I tried calling an hour later, straight to voicemail. A tiny seed of doubt planted itself in my mind. By 9 p.m., she finally came home, hair tousled, cheeks flushed, wearing a jacket I hadn't seen her take out in months. "Sorry, workshop ran late," she said, avoiding my eyes as she toed off her shoes. I forced a smile, hugged her, but her body was stiff against mine. Something was off. That night, as she showered, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. I glanced over, a message from someone named Liam, Green Market. I'd never heard the name. My heart pounded as I unlocked her phone, a knot tightening in my stomach. The messages were clear as daylight. Loved today. Can't stop thinking about you. Next break, come find me and back. I missed your smile this morning. There were dozens of them, stretching back weeks. Photos too, nothing explicit, but enough to turn my stomach. Selfies in the stockroom. Inside jokes. Little hearts and winks. I felt cold all over. My ears buzzed. The woman I'd built a life with was exchanging flirtatious, intimate messages with a cashier. Claire emerged from the bathroom, towel-drying her hair, humming softly. I sat there, phone in hand, the screen still glowing with Liam's words. "Who is he?" I asked quietly. She froze. The towel dropped to her shoulders. "Evan. Who is he?" Her face crumpled, a mixture of guilt and panic flashing across her eyes. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then, with a trembling voice, she admitted the truth. It just started with talking. I was lonely. You've been so busy, so distant. Liam was easy to talk to, that's all. I stared at her, numb. Was it just talking? She swallowed hard, tears spilling now. No. It went further. A few times. The words hit me like a fist to the chest. I couldn't breathe. My wife, the woman I trusted with every fiber of my being, had been cheating on me with a man who bagged groceries at our neighborhood store. I didn't speak. I couldn't. I just stood and walked out, the door slamming behind me. That night, I sat alone in my car, watching the empty streets blur through tears. Every memory of us, every kiss, every whispered promise twisted into something ugly. How do you process the moment when the life you've built is shattered by a smile behind a register? I don't remember driving home that night. I remember gripping the wheel so tight my knuckles turned white, my heart hammering against my ribs. My mind kept looping the same words: she cheated. Claire cheated. When I finally pulled into our driveway around 3 a.m., the house was dark. Claire hadn't called or texted. I sat there in the car for a long time, engine off, staring at the glow of our bedroom window. How many nights had she come home from her shift, smiled at me, kissed me, after being with him? I slept on the couch. Or rather, I tried to. At dawn, I heard the soft creak of footsteps. Claire hovered at the edge of the living room, pale and exhausted, like she hadn't slept either. "Evan," she whispered, voice cracking. "Please, can we talk?" I looked at her, this woman I thought I knew better than anyone, and felt a strange disconnect. She seemed smaller now, fragile in a way I'd never seen before. And yet, all I could think about was her hands in someone else's hair, her laugh meant for another man. I said nothing. For days, we orbited each other in the house like strangers. No words, only silence thick with unspoken anger and grief. She sent texts, left notes by my coffee mug. "Please let's talk. I love you." It was a mistake. But love? I wasn't sure what that word meant anymore. On the fourth day, when the walls of my own anger felt suffocating, I finally agreed to talk. We sat across from each other at the kitchen table, a battlefield of untouched meals and cold coffee cups. "I need you to tell me everything," I said, voice raw. She broke. Tears streamed down her face as she confessed. It started 2 months ago. Harmless flirting at first, Liam complimenting her smile, making her laugh during breaks. Then coffee dates. Then, one night after closing, it went further. I felt invisible, she whispered through sobs. "You were always working, always distracted." I felt unwanted. 1,000 retorts burned my tongue, but I bit them back. Deep down, I knew I had been distant. Work had consumed me. But cheating? That was a choice. Not my fault. Not our fault. Her fault. So what now? I asked, my voice shaking. She looked shattered. "I ended it. I swear. The messages stopped the night you found out. I'll quit the job. I'll do anything to fix this, Evan." But could it be fixed? I couldn't answer. Every time I looked at her, I saw them together, laughing, touching, sharing something I thought belonged to us. I slept in the guest room. I went through the motions of life like a ghost. A week later, Jenna convinced me to see a therapist. At first, I resisted. What could some stranger tell me that I didn't already know? But slowly, the sessions helped me peel back the layers of anger, grief, and yes, guilt. Because despite it all, a part of me wondered, had I driven her to this? But no, the therapist reminded me, neglect is not an excuse for betrayal. Claire had chosen a shortcut to validation instead of facing our problems with honesty. Weeks turned into months. Claire honored her word. She quit Green Market, blocked Liam, attended couples counseling with me. She tried, oh, how she tried, to rebuild trust. She would look at me with desperate eyes, pleading for forgiveness I wasn't sure I had to give. But here's the thing no one tells you about betrayal: even if the wound scabs over, the scar remains. Every text beep, every late return home, a trigger. A whisper in your ear, what if it's happening again? One crisp autumn morning, after nearly 4 months of trying, I woke up with a crushing clarity: staying wasn't healing me. It was chaining me to a version of our marriage that no longer existed. That evening, I told Claire. "I can't do this anymore," I said, voice barely above a whisper. I wish I could. But every day feels like walking through broken glass. She wept. She begged. But this time, I was resolute. I'll never hate you, I said, tears stinging my eyes. But I can't love you like this anymore. Not honestly. We separated 2 weeks later. The apartment felt cavernous when she left, her absence echoing through every room. I cried, oh, how I cried, for the life we'd lost, the love we couldn't salvage. But in time, something unexpected happened. The air grew lighter. Mornings were quieter, but not suffocating. I started hiking again, cooking real meals, seeing friends. Slowly, painfully, I began rediscovering me, a version of myself that had been buried beneath heartbreak. And now, nearly a year later, I can say this. Infidelity broke my marriage, but it didn't break me. Claire and I are civil now. Friendly, even. We met for coffee recently, no bitterness, no accusations. Just two people who once loved each other deeply and failed each other in ways neither of us fully understood. Do I wish things had turned out differently? Of course. But sometimes, the hardest road is the one that leads you back to yourself. And for that, even through the wreckage, I'm grateful.